Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Caden Kubler and welcome to Caden's Corner. Do you feel it outside? It's starting to feel a little bit like football, and man, I'm so fired up. The 2024 NFL season is rapidly approaching, and the main question that I'm stumped with is, are the Kansas City Chiefs going to three-peat, or can anybody in the NFL stop them? Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, and this dynastic run that we're seeing from the Kansas City Chiefs are looking to create history, becoming the first ever team to three-peat in NFL history. This Kansas City Chiefs team throughout this run is proving that they can win Super Bowls on both sides of the ball. Just looking a few years ago when they had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, when Patrick Mahomes won his MVP throwing for 5,000 passing yards, and they lit the NFL on fire. And most recently, last year, everybody was criticizing the receiving core. Could they get back to the Super Bowl and repeat? Well, we saw Steve Spagnuolo put together a defensive masterclass throughout the regular season, and more importantly, in the Super Bowl, and this Kansas City Chiefs team has proven to everybody that they can win with their offense or their defense. In the area that everybody criticized for the Chiefs last year, this team added a bunch of wide receiving threats for Patrick Mahomes in this offense. In free agency, they signed Marquise Hollywood Brown, a great speedster who can take the top off a defense. In the draft, the Chiefs selected Xavier Worthy out of Texas, the man who ran the fastest 40-yard dash in NFL history. Now, there were some question marks with Rashee Rice this offseason. Last year, he was their #1 receiver and was seemingly Patrick Mahomes' favorite target on the outside. And we saw some of the off-the-field issues that he had this offseason, but seemingly won't face a suspension for them. So it looks like the Chiefs are at full strength in this receiving core and in their entire offense. Now, if you're the rest of the NFL, this should absolutely terrify you. The Chiefs were constantly criticized throughout the entire season for having a bad receiving core and how they wouldn't be able to win the Super Bowl again. Well, guess what? They did it with a mediocre receiving core, and that just shows you the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. And now it is a quest for a dynastic run in this historic three-peat. They added Marquise Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy. Now, the Chiefs did suffer a big loss on the defensive side of the ball. They lost L'Jarius Sneed to the Titans. He ultimately wanted a big-time contract, and the Chiefs couldn't give it to him. And sometimes that happens when you're going through a dynastic run. You're going to have your young guys that want the contract extension. We saw this with Tyreek Hill when he left the Chiefs. He was one of the most dynamic receivers in all of the league, but he went to the Dolphins, got his big-time payday, and he hasn't won a Super Bowl since. People were worried, including myself, with how the Chiefs would react to losing the Cheetah, and they've been just fine. When teams go through these dynastic runs, they lose young players, and sometimes a guy like L'Jarius Sneed, you have to let him walk out the door. I talked about it earlier. When you look at this Chiefs team right now, they've proven to you that they can get it done on both sides of the ball. They can win Super Bowls with their offense, and they can win Super Bowls with their defense. And with the shift of weapons that they got on the offensive side of the ball, I think we're going to see them revert back to the old Chiefs, where they're letting Mahomes pass for 4,500 yards to 5,000 passing yards, to Travis Kelce, to Xavier Worthy, to Marquise Hollywood Brown, to all these great young weapons that they have on the outside. And this is when the Chiefs get really dangerous, because they can kill you with their offense, they can sprinkle in some Steve Spagnuolo defense, and you're done. And we know that this AFC is an absolute gauntlet that the Chiefs are going to have to go through. Patrick Mahomes last year in the postseason played his first ever road game. So many people criticizing him, so many people saying that this would be the year that he wouldn't be able to get it done. To me, this is so reminiscent of the Patriots dynasty with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. People in the media were so fed up with this team winning that they found every little thing that they could to discredit this team. If they lost a guy like Randy Moss, they won't be able to get back to the Super Bowl. If they started slow, oh, this team won't be able to get back to the Super Bowl. But Tom Brady and this Patriots dynasty proved that they'll always be able to get back to the Super Bowl as long as number 12 is under center. Specifically in the AFC West, we now see the Chargers, who have a competent head coach in Jim Harbaugh, for Justin Herbert. I don't think this team is quite ready to take off yet in year one under Harbaugh, because I think they need some more weapons on the outside for Herbert, but the Chargers are now going to be a contender going forward. You look at the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton, it looks like he's completely cleared the slate with the guys that he wants. He drafted Bo Nix in the first round, and he's played phenomenally throughout the preseason. And looking at the Las Vegas Raiders, they have some real juice in the building with Antonio Pierce, in my opinion, and they now announced that Gardner Minshew is going to be their starting quarterback for week 1. I think he's always been super underrated throughout his entire career. Looking at him last year, he had this Colts squad one throw away from potentially winning the AFC South and making it into the playoffs. Now, with all that being said, in terms of the AFC West, I don't think either three of these teams are going to contend with the Chiefs, but it's in the rest of the conference that I'm a little nervous. You have the Houston Texans with CJ Stroud, who are this emerging team. They added Stephon Diggs on the outside. They're now going to have a healthy Tank Dell. They still have Nico Collins. They added Joe Mixon to this running back room, and this offense is looking as dynamic as ever. On the defensive side of the ball, they added Pro Bowl edge rusher and Danielle Hunter to round things out, and I'm really excited to see what this Texans squad can do. You also have a healthy Anthony Richardson. What can he do with this Colts team? I think he's going to take a big step forward this season. I'm also really curious to see what the Jacksonville Jaguars can do. Trevor Lawrence is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. They added Brian Thomas in the first round of the draft. It was only 2 years ago that this team hung in there with the Chiefs on the road in the playoffs. Now, the AFC North is where I think everything really opens up. You have Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, who are looking to get back to the AFC Championship. They added Derrick Henry on the outside, but they lost Odell Beckham Jr. The Cleveland Browns now have a healthy Deshaun Watson. They have a healthy Nick Chubb. What can they do going forward? They have a stout defense, but they lost in the first round of the playoffs last year. But the team that I believe is the greatest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs is the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, looking at Patrick Mahomes' career, he's only lost in the playoffs to 2 different quarterbacks, one of them being the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady, the other one being Joe Burrow, and I don't think enough people talk about this. Joe Burrow was injured last year, and we were robbed of an epic duel between Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. If this Bengals team could most importantly protect Joe Burrow, they're going to be the greatest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs. But I'm fully convinced that you can never bet against Patrick Mahomes. No matter if he has a bad receiving core, no matter if the defense is bad, no matter if he's screaming at Travis Kelce on the sideline, no matter how discombobulated things look, I'll never bet against this man. I think this team can 100% run it back. They still have the stout defense. They significantly upgraded their receiving core. And most importantly, they still have number 15 throwing to number 87. I think this team has the motivation and they have the chip on their shoulder. The NFL Top 100 came out and Patrick Mahomes was placed at number 4. The players in the NFL voted this guy as the 4th best player in the league. He has 3 Super Bowls. He has 2 MVPs, 3 Super Bowl MVPs. You're telling me that the players in the league voted Lamar Jackson higher than Patrick Mahomes? I love Lamar Jackson. I'm a big time supporter of him, but in no world is he better than Patty Mahomes. Mahomes not only beat him in the AFC Championship, but he won the Super Bowl. The Chiefs have plenty of bulletin board material, and they're absolutely going to have a chip on their shoulder. This team, without a doubt, should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl next season until proven otherwise. I'm Caden Kubler, and that's my take.